In the heart of West Africa, where the golden sands meet the lush banks of the Niger, a forgotten empire once thrived. An empire built on gold, wisdom, and ambition. It was so powerful that its name echoed from the deserts of Africa to the courts of Europe and the far reaches of the Middle East. But today, its story lies buried beneath time's shifting sands. What happened to this golden kingdom? How did it rise to dominate an entire region? And why did it vanish into obscurity? Join us as we unravel the mysteries of the Mali Empire, rediscover its lost glory, and bring its forgotten legacy back to life. Before the rise of Mali, West Africa was a land of chaos. In the shadow of the fallen Ghana Empire, rival clans clashed over power, trade, and survival. What remained was a fragmented world, ruled by warlords and kings vying for control over the lifeblood of the region, which was gold and salt. Trade flourished, but peace was an illusion. The Mandinka people, once a powerful force, had been scattered and subdued, their lands divided. Among them, Abwo was born, one whose fate was entwined with the destiny of a new empire. His name was Sundiata Keita. Born into the Keita dynasty in the early 13th century, Sundiata was no ordinary child. He was the son of a prophecy, destined to become a great king, but fate had not been kind. He was born weak, unable to walk for years, mocked by his own people. Many doubted that he would ever rise to greatness. When his father, the ruler of the Mandinka, died, his throne was taken by an oppressive king. Sundiata and his mother were forced into exile, wandering from kingdom to kingdom. But in exile, he grew strong. He learned the ways of war, the art of leadership, and the power of alliances. And when the Mandinka people suffered under tyranny, they called upon their lost prince to return. From exile, Sundiata rose like a lion. He gathered allies, uniting warriors who had long been divided. His destiny was clear. He would reclaim his homeland and forge a new empire. In 1235, the battle for Mali's future began. At Kirina, Sundiata Keita faced the cruel king Sumoro Kanti, a final confrontation. The fate of the Mandinka people hung in the balance. The battle was brutal, but Sundiata's strategy and courage turned the tide. Sumoro, once feared as an invincible sorcerer king, was defeated. The Mandinka were free, and a new empire was born. With his victory, Sundiata Keita established the Mali Empire. He united the Mandinka clans, restored peace, and built the foundations of a kingdom that would soon become one of the wealthiest and most powerful in the world. Text. But this was only the beginning. The empire would soon control the greatest trade routes of Africa, amass wealth beyond imagination, and produce a ruler who would be remembered as the richest man in history. And that ruler was Mansa Musa, who was born in 1280 BCE. Mansa Musa ruled Mali from 1312 to 1337 CE, and under him, Mali was the wealthiest empire in the world. Also, he was the greatest ruler and was the wealthiest man to have ever lived. Few rulers in history had ever been as rich, as powerful, or as legendary as Mansa Musa. His name echoes across centuries, whispered in awe, recorded in maps, and forever tied to the greatest display of wealth the world has ever seen. But who was the man behind the gold? Before he was emperor, Musa was a leader of men, a strategist, a ruler destined for greatness, but fate had a grander plan for him. When the reigning emperor, Abubakar II, set sail on an ill-fated voyage across the Atlantic, Musa was chosen to rule in his place, and so, a new golden era began. Under Mansa Musa's rule, Mali did not just thrive, it became a force the world could no longer ignore. Gold mines flourished, trade exploded, and cities like Timbuktu and Gao became centers of power and learning. Then, in 1324, Mansa Musa embarked on a journey that would shock the world, a pilgrimage to Mecca, not as a mere traveler, but as a king who would redefine the meaning of wealth. Imagine it, tens of thousands of men, draped in the finest fabrics, moving in a river of gold across the Sahara. Camels burdened with treasures, musicians playing as they marched, and at the center of it all, the Golden King himself, Mansa Musa. When Mansa Musa arrived in Cairo, the city had never seen anything like it. Gold flowed like water. The emperor gifted fortunes to rulers, scholars, and the poor alike, turning the streets into a marketplace of unimaginable riches. But there was a consequence. So much gold entered circulation that its value plummeted. For a decade, Cairo's economy struggled to recover, as prices soared and the currency lost its stability. Word of Mali's wealth spread far beyond Africa. European cartographers, stunned by the stories of the Golden King, began to mark Mali on their maps. Mansa Musa, a symbol of untold riches. But Mansa Musa was more than just gold. He was a patron of knowledge, a builder of cities. Upon returning to Mali, he transformed Timbuktu into a center of learning, funding scholars and constructing magnificent mosques, including the legendary Gingerbread Mosque. He brought architects from across the Islamic world, ensuring that Mali's wealth would not be measured only in gold, but in wisdom and culture. Nevertheless, even the greatest rulers must face time's inevitable passage. After 2 decades of ruling the wealthiest empire on earth, Mansa Musa left behind a legacy that would echo through the ages. His empire, his riches, and his vision changed the course of history. The world would never forget the Golden King, but with his passing, the foundations of Mali began to tremble. The age of prosperity was gone, and soon, the empire faced new threats that even gold could not stop. The death of Mansa Musa left a void that no ruler could truly fill. His son, Mansa Musa, inherited a throne too heavy for his shoulders. Unlike his father, he lacked the vision, strength, and wisdom to command the vast empire. The once united Mali began to splinter. Internal power struggles weakened the empire, as ambitious nobles and regional governors fought for control. One by one, the empire's edges began to unravel. As Mali's strength waned, new powers emerged. The greatest of them was Songhai, a kingdom that had once been a vassal of Mali, but now sought its own destiny. Sunni Ali, a fierce and ambitious leader, saw the weakness of Mali and struck with force. In 1468, the jewel of Mali, Timbuktu, fell into the hands of the Songhai. The empire's most prized city, its center of knowledge, trade, and prestige, was lost. With it, Mali's dominance in the region began to fade. But Mali's troubles did not end there. Across the desert, a new threat loomed. The mighty Sultanate of Morocco, desperate to control the wealth of West Africa, launched an invasion with weapons Mali had never seen before, and that was firearms. The Malian army, once feared across Africa, was no match for Morocco's gunpowder. The era of swords and spears was ending, and Mali's warriors found themselves outmatched and overwhelmed. Mali's wealth had always been its greatest strength, but it also became its greatest weakness. As European and Middle Eastern traders found new sea routes, the trans-Saharan trade, the empire's lifeline, began to dry up. The world was changing, and Mali could not change fast enough. Without its monopoly on gold and salt trade, the empire's economy crumbled, and its influence faded into obscurity. By the 17th century, Mali was only a shadow of what it once was. Its lands had been divided, its wealth plundered, and its people scattered. The empire that had once been the golden heart of Africa had fallen, its name fading into history. Although the Mali Empire faded from the world stage centuries ago, its essence still lingers, woven into the fabric of modern West Africa, inscribed in the wisdom of its people, and echoed in the traditions that endure. In an age before written records, Mali's history was carried in song, safeguarded by guides, oral historians who passed down the stories of kings and warriors. Even today, their voices keep the empire alive, ensuring that Mali's legacy is never forgotten. The Griots' influence extends beyond history. Their music, storytelling, and poetry continue to inspire, blending with modern genres to create a sound that resonates through Africa and beyond. Today, the spirit of learning that defined Mali's golden age lives on in the universities and academic institutions of Africa, where knowledge remains a guiding force for progress. Thanks for tuning into the past. Don't forget to subscribe and join us next time for more stories that shaped our world.